Good morning, everyone. Saturday morning. The report's a little late here today. We had another power outage this morning, and that is the fourth power outage we've had here in about the last 2 months that's not storm related and not accident related. So, hello, CU. They get it repaired pretty quickly. I'm just wondering if it's an equipment issue, maybe some new stuff. Anyway, here is the visible satellite loop here this morning, and this is interesting in the summer. Now, this is a trough of low pressure, and if you've been watching my channels here for a while, you know that to be the case. A lot of times your most disturbed weather is out ahead of that, and it tends to be more stable behind it, and that is true, but in the summer, you start to get unstable air in a lot of places, so this is kind of a bimodal thing. You have severe weather possible out ahead of this, and also, as you can clearly see, thunderstorms have been erupting on the back end of this as well, and fog is where the stable air is, and it's eroding away quickly in Missouri. This was recorded a lot earlier, right before the power went out, by the way. So anyway, here's the simulated radar for the next 2 days, and it's thunderstorm clusters 101. These things form. Usually they slide east, southeast, or east. There's one right there. You'll see others that develop here across Nebraska, across Iowa, eventually across Montana. And this is, again, a very common theme. A lot of times these things will travel into the overnight hours, die the next morning, and where they leave boundaries makes an interesting challenge for severe weather the next day. And sometimes that summer can be interesting, and the updates come pretty often, actually. And while I'm on that subject, this is the day one outlook. Today is Saturday, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands I record this in the morning. This particular outlook for this day is updated several times throughout the late morning, mid-afternoon, early evening. So if there are changing conditions, I don't necessarily jump in and record a new one every single time unless it's really drastic. So you'll want to check the site, and it's in the link if you want to know where the SPC puts these things. Anyway, level 1 here accounts for those thunderstorms we just showed you in Kansas. The highest activity is Montana down to Nebraska, and then there's still that little pocket of some severe weather parameters possible, hail and high wind, especially hail, out ahead of that upper level low as it continues to move eastward. The tornado outlook for today, there's a pocket of 2% risk there with some of those storms from south central Kansas ending around Tulsa, probably including the Enid area there. But certainly there's also a very large area that arcs from northeast Colorado all the way back into the heart of Montana. The Nadocast for the morning has, actually this was still the 0Z data, not the morning data, I think. Anyway, Montana, 2% risk there. Generally speaking, the tornado risk is not very high. Here's the outlook for Sunday, and it looks strikingly like today's. It has moved very, very little, actually. In fact, the level 2 area is just maybe a little more east. The level 1 area is a little more to the south. The tornado area is just shifted again northeast just a little bit, and it's still a pretty low probability. Now, it is more common in the summer for the tornado probabilities to go down. And one of the reasons for that is you have unstable air, and you have a lot of times a jet stream that can support supercells, but you may be lacking in low-level wind fields, except where Mother Nature makes its own locally. So that's why tornadoes are always possible with severe weather, but widespread tornadoes need a strong jet stream, some sort of favorable low-level wind field, and a lot of times those are lacking. And a lot of times, too, in the summer months up north, you get thunderstorms that initially develop and could be tornadic, and then they become these big, long, severe wind-producing lines that move across multiple states. So here on Monday, we still have a severe weather risk for South Dakota, parts of Nebraska, stretching over to Minneapolis on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we have just sinking a little bit south of that activity. This hasn't moved much from yesterday's forecast. And this next one on Wednesday has, though. This is more to the east. So before this stopped short of Chicago metropolitan area, now on Wednesday, it does include, in fact, where I live here in Springfield, Missouri, and St. Louis. Now, this is quite a few days away, so I'll reserve judgment on any kind of local discussion here in southwest Missouri for those who are watching, and it's most of you. And so, but this is covering more area and spreading more to the northeast. And we had some model issues this morning, too. I can't get a hold of one of the sites that I usually use, the Colorado State University sites down. So we'll just do these last 3 this morning and be done with it. But this is the supercell composite for the next 7 days beginning today. It does kind of show the kind of southeastward creep of that possibility here, and also the eastward spread of some of that this week. And then we go to the what is essentially the last week of June. Chicago, Minneapolis, South Dakota, much of Nebraska, Iowa, the Corn Belt under more of a severe weather risk. Still kind of a drooping down of severe weather potential into Kansas and parts of Oklahoma. But this shift north is pretty common if you look at the severe weather norms, so to speak. And then the final week, which ends on July 4th, still has the hotbed of activity across the northern plains. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.